Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of Boomin with Bella. I am your host, Bella Lainez. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe here on YouTube, but also that you can like, subscribe, follow wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow at Boomin with Bella on all social media. In the social bios, there's a link which will take you to all things Boomin with Bella, and I promise there's some good stuff, so go check that out. Now, without further ado, for today's episode, it's kind of like the penultimate episode of 2024, but also season 2 of Boomin with Bella. So season 2 is going to encompass everything from 2023 to the end of 2024, and season 1 will be everything that kind of came before that, so while I was still in college basically, and then in the new year we'll start season 3. But so I have 2 more episodes that I want to get out for you guys before the end of the year. One being today's episode, which is focused on Rauw Alejandro's Cosa Nuestra, and the second will be more of a recap style, like everything I was listening to in 2024, all of the big albums, my favorite releases, etc., 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 how my personal life in 2024 impacted what I was listening to, what I think will be major in 2025. All of that we'll talk about in the final episode of this season of Boomin with Bella. Today is all about Rauw Alejandro and Cosa Nuestra. Okay, so this is Rauw Alejandro's 4th official studio album, and it released on November 15th. I believe it's his 4th. And according to my Apple Music replay, I have already listened to it for 227 minutes. And it hasn't even been out for a month yet. So I think you kind of know that I like this album. I haven't seen too much negative talk about the album online specifically. I think a lot of people widely like it. I do think, because this also happened to me, our expectations going into the album were kind of a lot different than we were expecting. A different album than what we got. Based on the marketing and the album rollout, and I think that was a lot of people when they first listened to it were like a little bit underwhelmed, and I think it's because we had created an expectation in our mind of what this album was going to be, and he released something that was not aligned with that. But the other negative talk that I have seen has been in relation to Rosalía, his ex, and her influence. I say that with air quotation marks because obviously they're going to influence each other's music. They were engaged, but people were saying like he was kind of copying her at one point, and I just don't think like that's the case. But yeah, if anything, thank you to Rosalía, because without that relationship we wouldn't have gotten some of these songs or a rendition of Se Fue. So that's my stance on that. I posted a TikTok on Boomin with Bella about kind of my first impressions, like the day it released, after 2 or 3 listens through, kind of where I stood with the album. And I also posted a question sticker on my Instagram story, like what people's thoughts were. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about my thoughts now. And then we're also going to go through some texts that I got. So, whole bunch of stuff. And I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about this because I think that Rauw is on the cusp of like a new level of stardom for him. I feel like it's really like Bad Bunny and Rauw, and then like third spot has been shifting between Fercho and Omar Courtz and Alvaro. So it's kind of like who's gonna cinch that 3rd spot? Perhaps maybe like Karol G. So maybe it's like the 4th spot. Yeah, we have lots to talk about. First is I want to kind of go through track by track, and we'll take it from there. So it is 18 songs long. It's an hour and 7 minutes, and that hour and 7 minutes flies. Again, like I did Cowboy Carter, I listened to this for the first time while I was running, and it was a fun run. But then the second couple times I had it like playing in the background while I was working, and then also I went for a drive. And since I've kind of been playing it, and I have noticed that once I go to play it, I'm listening to the whole album. Also, I've noticed that like every day is like a new song that's stuck in my head. And that my favorite tracks rearrange completely like every couple days or so. To start off, Cosa Nuestra, the intro track, titled after the album, I said on TikTok that I don't think that this is a song that I would continuously come back to, like, you know, like play on its own separate from the album. And that was a bold-faced lie. I didn't know it at the time, but that was a lie. Because I have gone back to this album and played that song specifically. Or I've started with that song because that was the one that I wanted to hear. I've had that one stuck in my head. Esto es Cosa Nuestra. Like, that has been in my head since it came out. So I definitely underestimated that. Oh, I also watched the YouTube performance, like the YouTube live of his performance in New York of his album release party. And I think that was the performance that really cinched Cosa Nuestra for me, like the intro track where I was like, I love this song actually. But yeah, I did not attend because tickets sold out immediately and I didn't have a chance. But I did tune in to watch. One thing about this track is I do love like the instruments used, the background vocals. It's, I don't really have words to describe it, but it just like, it like brings you into the world. It brings you into the world that it is this album, the way like it transforms you into like a different, especially when you're listening to the album as a whole, it just like, it grabs you in, it holds your attention. Déjame Entrar has been a song that I have loved all summer long, and I even noticed like a little bit before this album was released that I had been listening to it on repeat. I love it, and I think there's a couple songs throughout the album that him and Mag, the producer, like are both credited on, and I think that they're a great duo. Him, Dímelo Now, Mag, and his friend Kenobi, I think, is also credited on a bunch of songs. I just assumed that that's his friend when I said that, but I think that they're a great duo, or trio, or quad. Déjame Entrar has been a song that I've loved, and I think that because of Déjame Entrar, I thought that this would be a good album for this summer. So I was a little confused as to like why he was releasing it in the middle of fall. But once the full album came out, it made sense. Like, this is the fall album. The vibe is very fall. But also someone commented on Boomin with Bella saying that it's the perfect album for healing season. And I didn't realize it until they literally said those words. And I was like, you're so right. This is a healing season album. Obviously, like, just look at the lyrical content, but also the vibes. Now it makes sense where Déjame Entrar fits in, and that makes also sense as to why Espectacular was a single. It's completely separate from all of this. Following Déjame Entrar, we have Que Pasaría with Bad Bunny. I really like this collab. People have been comparing it, trying to figure out if they like this one better than Party. I think that the two have such different sounds that it's kind of hard to say which one's better. I think for like summer, Jinjodiyar, Kikiyar, definitely like Party is better. For like a sexier club GNO vibe, I would say Que Pasaría. Perreando vibe, I would say Que Pasaría. I don't know, like Que Pasaría to me is like you're entering a dimly lit club. There's smoke everywhere, and like there's couples and dimly lit tables and everything. Like, it's just you know what I mean? It's just like sexier. Whereas Party is kind of just like having a good time, like out in the sun, outside, in the streets, like big groups of people. You know, it's a happier kind of club anthem, more upbeat. Whereas like Que Pasaría is like perreando. I mean, I just want a full Bad Bunny Rauw Alejandro album, especially like they're both in like single breakup eras. I need more. Like, get together in the studio, release an EP, like, please. This is what we want. Following that, we have the Tu Con El cover, And there's mixed feelings about this, especially mixed feelings about this being on the album. And I do love this cover. I think I love it so much because I love Tu Con Él by Frankie Ruiz in itself. And I think I love it because I've been begging for a salsa revival. I want new salsa, new wave salsa, like let's go. I want these guys to start incorporating salsa into their music more so, or to just release salsa songs. And so when I saw him do this at the Global Citizens Festival, I was like, oh my God, he really is giving us salsa. I didn't realize that the only salsa song in the album would be the cover. And I think that's kind of like a lot of people's first reactions is kind of like, he said this is going to be a salsa album, but we have one salsa song and it's a cover. You know, it's not even original. So mixed feelings about it for sure. I think it sounds good. I still play it all the time. I had a moment where I was really, really fixated on it. But I would have liked had he done an original salsa, maybe linked up with El Gran Combo de Puerto Rico, or Puerto Rican Power, like anything, like linking up with like an old salsero group would have like really cinched it in. I just wish he did original salsa. That's pretty much it, but I still like the song, unfortunately. Like, I say this criticism, but I still listen to the song because it's like, all right, well, this is what we're gonna get. I'm gonna run it through the ground, but like, give me more, and then get original with it. Following that, we have Committed by Rauw Alejandro featuring Pharrell Williams. When I tell you, I stopped in my tracks when I heard this song begin and Rauw sing in English. I was like, hold on. The smirk couldn't go away. Still can't, thinking about it. Insane. I liked this song a lot upon first listen, and I still really like it, but I would say it's definitely fallen in my rankings a little bit. People were expecting more Pharrell, but I'm kind of okay with the amount of singing Pharrell did. Like, it was mostly just ad-libs, but I was kind of expecting him to just be like the producer on the track, so I wasn't expecting like anything. So I'm okay with how it went. Following that, we have Espresso Martini, which is another one that I didn't realize how much I would end up coming back to this one. Rauw Alejandro, Marconi, Impara, y Yamblo. The ad-lib drives me insane in the best way possible. I'm obsessed with it. It like scratches the right part of my brain. I love it so much. I don't like espresso martinis because I don't like the taste of vodka and coffee, but I'm about to start ordering them just so I can like envision this, like live this song. Now we have Baja Vaca, Rauw Alejandro y Alexis y Fido. This is just a like pure banger. Essentially what it is. It's like club party song. And you know, in that way, can't really complain. It is like nice that Alexis y Fido are getting like more recognition now. They kind of said that they were okay with like flying under the radar, but it's nice to get a little bit of flowers. So happy for them. Ni Me Conozco is a terribly haunting and sad song, but it is absolutely beautiful. That's really all I can say on that. Like, I really like want to listen to it more, but then I'm like sitting there and I'm like, ugh, damn. You know, there's a lot of memes about that one online about just, you know, the lyrics hitting a little hard. We have El Capo, and I think my favorite part of this song is when he says, Rauw, dime dónde está, estoy con el conejo Obi. Like, that's so cute. It's so cute, but also like so hard that he can like flex like that. Like, yeah, this is my guy. On every album that, almost every album, they've had like some sort of collab. Have they? Or at least on Un Verano Sin Ti, and then for Bad Bunny to come back and collab with him on Cosa Nuestra is just like, I hope we get collabs on every single album if we don't get an album from the two of them itself. If you are on Rauw Alejandro Twitter or TikTok, you've seen that there's this guy. He ranks the albums and he so like see if I can play it real quick for you because it won't make sense if I say it. I'm gonna clip it in here, but essentially this is very explicit. So, abuela, cover your ears.
Fucking Rauw Alejandro, el dueño de las chochas a nivel planetal. Rauw, cabrón, eres una fucking bestia. ¿Sabes qué? Desenfocado.
But so there's a part in this song where he says fucking Rauw Alejandro, but he doesn't do the whole el dueño thing. And everyone on TikTok was like, it's such a missed opportunity. Why wouldn't he put that in there? It's just funny. But Il Capo was originally my favorite. Upon first listen, I was obsessed. That was the one that I posted to my Instagram story. Like, that was my song initially. It's changed. Still in the top, I would say, like, one of my favorites, but it's definitely, like, I've made room. Following that, we have Revolu, Rauw Alejandro, and Fade. People are loving this. I love it too. We'll talk about it later. It does kind of feel like a rework of Perro Negro. Like, that's fine and fair. Like, the success of Perro Negro, like, why wouldn't you try to replicate that? But it doesn't feel different from that. It feels like kind of equivalent, if not the same. If not, like, less intoxicating, because Perro Negro was the original, the first. So this kind of coming out and relatively feeling the same is kind of like, well, you know. But I hope that they collab more. I love them both. Like, if you've been tuning into any episodes this year, you know that it has been a Rauw and a Fade year. I was about to say summer, but it's been the entire year. So I don't know, I feel like it could have been better, but it was a good song. Rebel was a good song, and I do listen to it often. Mil Mujeres follows that, and I like it. I definitely think it needs to grow on me a little bit more at this point in time, because the outro, like, some people really, really love the outro. At this point in time, it just, like, is a lot for me. I'm like, what in the, it feels like the memes that I've seen of it being like to Mario Kart Rainbow Road, like that's what it feels like to me, listening even. So I definitely am like warming up to it. I love the merengue infusion. I love it. I almost wish that he had like I almost wish that he separated the infusions of the song, because it's merengue infused and then it's like Tokyo, his time in Japan infused, like the sounds of Japan. And together, it feels like a lot for me. So I almost wish that the two were separate. Like, he did a song that was infused with merengue, if not a merengue song in totality, but also like a song infused by the sounds of Japan and Tokyo, because I know that he loves Japan. He's always there. So that's the only thing I would say about that song. I do think it'll grow on me the more that I listen to it. When I was running, I loved it. It was like, it gave me the energy to push through. But then just like casually listening, I was like, wow, let me take a step back. Following that, we have Que with Rauw Alejandro and Romeo Santos. I keep saying with Rauw Alejandro. It's Rauw Alejandro's album, but con Romeo Santos. This song is amazing. It's amazing. The instruments used in it, the lyrics, I mean, their voices are magic together. I'm obsessed with it. I think this will be a song that, like, will continue to be played for many years, if not just be like a kind of standalone, like, that people talk about a lot. We have a Se Fue with Laura Pausini. I did not like Se Fue at first, if only because it was too sad, and I was like, nah, like, too sad. I know this is like fully just the song that he chose to perform at the Latin Grammys right after Rosalia had performed, and it was like fresh breakup. Like, I know this was his breakup anthem, blah blah blah. I can't stop listening to it now. Fully obsessed. I have turned this album on specifically to listen to that song now. I think it's because I've also told you guys I'm in a rock refusion. I'm waiting for a rock resurgence, and I am especially loving Latin rock. When I started to like fully like this song, I think it was because of that. I kept coming back to it because of that. And I was like, yes, this is giving me like everything that I wanted right now. It's heartbreaking, but it's I do love it. I do love it. Then Pasaporte with Mr. Nice Guy. I did not like Pasaporte when it came out as a single. I was kind of like, this just feels like a radio cash grab. Now, I get it. It makes sense. In the flow of the album and the track list, it fits. It makes sense to me. So I like it a little bit more. But when I'm looking at the grand scheme list of all of the songs on the album, it's not number one. You know? Same with Touching the Sky. Like, I liked it when it came out, but it was just very like, it's just poppy. It's cool, it's good, it's easy, it fits in playlists easily, like it's something that I can play around everyone. Rauw singing in Spanglish is amazing. Please keep doing it. When I look at the album and the other amazing pieces of work in this album, like those two are just like, they kind of just fall down the ranking for me. Because following that we have Amar de Nuevo, and this song is so beautiful. So beautiful. I'm obsessed. But really, I think this is still my favorite one right now. 2:12 a.m. with Latin Mafia. I love this song. Okay, again, rock resurgence. The way that Latin Mafia's voices sound, the way that Rauw's voices sound together, it's just amazing. It's a masterpiece. It's like, why didn't I have this sooner? Like the ad-libs, they fit so well. This is like my favorite song on the album, and I love Latin Mafia's latest album too, like that I will talk about in the next episode of Booming with Bella. But Rauw Alejandro and Latin Mafia, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I cannot wait to hear it live. It's just, their voices just feel like they also like scratch something in my brain that I needed scratched. Or something in my ears. It just like, it sounds like melted butter. Like they harmonize so well. So it's just obsessed. I love the instruments. This felt like rock to me. I was like, this is what I wanted. And then we have the outro, Sex Machine. When this got reviewed by Billboard, maybe, they kind of put this as like the worst song in the album. I could see that because like some of the other, like all the other songs are so good. But I really like this one. I think it's fun. They kind of said that like the lyrics don't match the song title, which is like, fine, whatever. But I love the James Brown interloping. I love it. Like when I first heard it, it made sense to me. I was like, yeah, I almost want Rauw to do more like funk disco now. Like, please give us this. It just felt right. And when he shouted out his dad, and I don't know. I loved it. It's one that I do play when it comes on. You know, I don't skip it ever. If I were to give you my top 5 on the album, I would say, 2:12, Espresso Martini, Cosa Nuestra, Se Fue, ¿Qué pasaría? El Capo, and I think like Armar de Nuevo, like those 8 are my tops. Perhaps also the Quenelle. But yeah, I think that I was expecting, so I'll tell you what I was expecting going in, because I also felt slightly underwhelmed, but I didn't know what it was until I started talking it out with people. I was slightly underwhelmed because I went into it, one, hoping for more house, because I think Rauw is amazing on house, and I was really getting into like Latin house music, and like some of his old house songs had just kind of like come back in rotation for me. So I was hoping for more house, but nowhere in the album rollout was that ever said. So that was just a me thing. And I was hoping for more salsa. I was hoping for a lot more salsa. Like I said, original collabs, not just the Tu Con El cover, because I'm gonna run Frankie Ruiz's version to the ground anyways. So you're just giving me now the same song twice that I'm still gonna play because I love it and it's a classic for a reason. That was why I was slightly underwhelmed, and I think that, like, at least from what I gathered from talking with people and from your responses on the Booming with Bella TikTok page, is like that was kind of everyone's thought. He marketed this as a salsa album. He did the Good Morning America, had a little salsa, kind of teased that there would be salsa. Then he did the Global Citizens Fest, did the cover, but we didn't know at the time that the only salsa we were going to get on this album was the cover. He did announce that there's a part 2, like a second album that kind of goes along with this. So I'm hoping maybe that'll be more salsa infused. But I don't want to feel underwhelmed again, so I'm trying not to think too much about what that could be. I do have to say that I love the concept behind the album. I do heavily feel the influence of the 70s and like traditional Latin instruments woven throughout the album. While each song may not in totality feel that way, there's definitely infusions. I do understand like the 70s in New York influence that he was trying to convey. Also, his grandfather being the one to introduce him in Cosa Nuestra is so cute. When he like confirmed that was his grandfather, like tears in my eyes. And now when I listen to it, I'm like, oh my, that's adorable. It does feel very like old-timey as an album, so I like that. And I do think that this is an album that will be continued to be talked about throughout 2025. Like, I think that this will continue to get better with age. It'll be an album that people talk about for a long time. The tea is that I am going to see him at La Choli, and I could not be more excited. I have been dying to go to a concert at Choli forever. Don't have great seats because by the time I finally made it in, like, they were already on the 3rd day of concert tickets and they were about to be sold out. My mindset is just like the experience of hearing this in Puerto Rico, and also it being my first Rauw concert. Like, I've never seen Rauw live. I know that's crazy. Crazy talk. I'm really excited to like kind of take you guys with me in a sense, and talk about it here on the podcast. So that will be an episode coming in 2025, but you have to wait till June. It'll just be awesome, and I'm so excited. I didn't post it on Instagram, so you guys get the first tea that I'm going. At least as of now. I mean, it's what, like 6 months away, but as of right now, the plan is to go. The best part about this album too is he's like so heavily engaged on social media, like engaging with people who are making TikToks, commenting, reposting, posting on Instagram. And I think also people are underestimating or are just now seeing like the magnitude of Rauw's like one artistry, but also like fandom and how much people like him, because the Choli concerts, they were started off like 1 or 2 days. Then they added a 3rd, and then they added a 4th, and they all sold out. I also have to say that the price point at Choli so much better than anything here in the United States. The highest pricing ticket was $200. And then I just looked at Kendrick and SZA tickets, and literally nosebleeds were almost $200. So like, make it make sense. This is how concert tickets are supposed to be. Anyways, he's been on like Twitch streams. He's performed on, I think, Jimmy Fallon. He's done a lot. I did order the vinyl, so I will have that arrive whenever, sometime. I'm excited to listen to it on vinyl. I think that this is a good album for vinyl, especially. Now what we'll do is we'll kind of talk about first impressions that I received when I put on the sticker, and then text. First, we have that it was a perfect blend of different genres, takes the listeners on a journey, which I totally agree with. I love the mixture of genres. I love that more artists are not just sticking to one genre throughout the entire album. Like, yeah, mix it up. We don't care. Genres are a funny little concept, aren't they? I agree also that it takes you through a journey. We have a Love, 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 and then a little overhyped, but I haven't listened to the full thing yet, but I like it thus far. And again, like, I want to listen a little more for my exact thoughts. So that was the day of. I think I literally posted that at like 3 in the afternoon the day of. From what I heard from just online and everything is that our generation is hungry for new salsa. We're hungry for like new wave. We love reggaeton and everything, but we still also are like coming into an age where we start to appreciate merengue, bachata, salsa, cumbia, all of the genres that our parents and grandparents loved and grew up with and that we grew up with, but we gravitated towards reggaeton. People were expecting more, especially because he talked about wanting to pay homage to Hector Lavoe and Willie Colon. One of my friends said that she was expecting a cohesive 70s theme album that he spoke about, but doesn't feel that was what was delivered. My friend who sent me this text did not like Revelu. She felt that they couldn't find a way to blend their respective sounds, and I kind of get that, and why I said it felt like a duplication of Perro Negro. And she also said that Que Pasaría brought her mixed feelings because she wasn't blown away like she was when she heard Perro Negro, which makes sense. She said that you could tell that they wanted to make a certified reggaeton classic when they made Perro Negro, which is why they won a Latin Grammy for it, and this just kind of didn't live up to that. One of the songs, personally, that she really loved was Que. Same thing as I said, they sounded amazing together, their voices meshed really well, and that they need a new collab because of the harmonies. They harmonize so well. And that she kind of wanted more like this for the album. We were talking about the Tuconel cover, like her and I, we were going back and forth, and she said that she didn't love it. She would have, like I said, also, like I agreed with, would also prefer an original salsa song, which is why she liked Mil Mujeres, because it was like an electronic merengue inspired song, but a new take, but also doesn't feel like it was meant for this album, which I think, yes, that's what I forgot to mention, because I completely agree with that take. I think that Mil Mujeres would have done great on Saturno. I think that that's probably why it like jumbled my head when I was listening to it. We were also talking about the Tucanel cover, and we were under the impression that it was electronic instruments. I don't know, because when I look up the credits, there's people credited on the trumpets, the timbales, the congas, the piano, like there's people accredited to it. It's just like a matter of like, do they play it electronically or do they like play it in the booth? And I think I wanted them to play it in the booth, because you can tell there's just a difference. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why it's so hard to figure out how I feel about the Tucanel cover, because was it electronic instruments or was the instruments in the booth being recorded played? Because that's what we want. That's why I'm saying like collab with like El Gran Combo de Puerto Rico or Puerto Rican Power or like another salsa group. Like that would have been perfect to me, in my opinion. But final thoughts were that overall the album is enjoyable, but not what was promised. Just basically that the way it was marketed sold a fantasy. Some of the songs would have been on any of his other past projects, but a 70s salsa inspired record is not what was delivered. And I think it would have been better from a marketing standpoint had he just said like 70s in general. Because I hear it with the rock, I hear it with the James Brown funk, I hear it with the salsa, the little bachata, and, you know, merengue. I hear it within all the instruments used in those infused songs. And like even Il Capo's a little infused. Espresso Martini has a little bit of instruments that still take you into the 70s. But it made like just the marketing and I guess what we were all hoping for, and just kind of like going off of this idea, like he said, salsa's back, whatever, to only give us the one salsa song is kind of just like, you know? I would have loved a little bit more disco-y, a little funk, or like if that were to be part 2 on the album, just, you know, I would love in general Rauw disco, Rauw funk, Rauw rock, Rauw salsa. You know, like I don't know. One of the things that my friends also said was that like he would have killed it on a Saturday Night Fever disco theme song. Like, yeah, 100% I agree, because he also is such a dancer and the choreography would have gone nuts. And I think like once I heard James Brown, I was like, I needed more like this. I need more like this just in general. I hope part 2 has more salsa on it, or is more like has more of each of the genres, like more rock, more funk, more disco, or give us disco. Overall, I mean, obviously this is an album I have been listening to daily, so anything negative I say is like really take it with a grain of salt, because I'm still streaming. I just want more. I want more. 18 songs just didn't feel like enough. and one salsa didn't feel like enough. But all in all, it is a good album, and I do think it will get better with time. Like, this episode is very much still under the first impressions kind of bubble because it hasn't even been out a month yet. I think through 2025 we'll see more, and then whenever this part 2 comes, maybe it'll seem more cohesive with that. But yeah, it was a lot of mixed feelings, but a lot of also really positive reactions. I think it'll continue to grow on people as time passes, like I said. But also just like, I kind of hope we get like a behind the scenes, kind of like in the snippets that we got pre his performance at the Brooklyn album release party, because I would love to see that. That's essentially all I really have to say at this point in time about Cosa Nuestra and Rauw Alejandro. I'm excited for this new era. I want to see more. I mean, he's been very much engaging online and, you know, doing a lot for the fans. I'm excited to see how this progresses and to take this album with me into 2025. I can't wait to like talk more about it, and especially like once I have my experience out early to really get into it, you know, talk about concert outfits, etc. What do I do? What after parties do I go to? All of that good stuff. In the meantime, that's all I have for you right now. Stay tuned. I'll be back shortly to close out the end of the year with a 2024 wrapped episode. And that just about wraps this episode up. Before you go, like, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating to help push Booming with Bella out to more people. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you never miss an episode of Booming with Bella, but also don't forget that you can find episodes of Booming with Bella wherever you get your podcast. Just make sure to follow along there. As well as at Booming with Bella on all social media. There's a link in the social media bios that houses all things Booming with Bella and special access to all playlists mentioned throughout all Booming with Bella episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in, and talk to you guys again soon.